Welcome to the Oklahoma Emergency Management video presentation series. In this video, you will learn how to submit a reimbursement request for the 911 grant program. The 911 program will require 4 different types of requests to be submitted during the life of the project with the OKEM grant system. The application. In order to receive funding for the 911 grant, your organization will need to submit an application with the EM grant system. Please refer to our video for submitting an application for details. The quarterly report. The quarterly report is done each quarter after your application has been approved. They are due by the 10th day of the month. So they would be due April 10th, July 10th, October 10th, and January 10th. The reimbursement request can be submitted at any time for the 911 grant program. However, you must have at least $5,000 in reimbursements before you can request any reimbursement. The closeout is done when you have completed your project and all reimbursements have been received. You should submit the closeout 30 days after your final reimbursement request. Reimbursements go through a workflow approval process for payment. Let's review the workflow of the reimbursement request. There are 3 high-level processes: the program approval, the accounts payable approvals, the finance approvals, and then finally payment. The program approval consists of assuring that the expenses are allowed for the program and that all the documentation has been included. The accounts payable review. This is an internal review assuring all expenses are expensed to the correct accounting codes and the payment information is correct. The final approval is the finance approval. This is where the reimbursement requests are batched and sent for warrants to be issued through the State Treasurer's Office. Now let's take a look at the system and how to submit a reimbursement request. Once you log into the system, there are a couple ways that you can submit a reimbursement request. One is to go to your projects, which you can click on projects here or over in the tabs on the left-hand side here. The other one, you'll notice a menu bar button at the top that says Submit New Reimbursement Request. So you can click on that. That will bring up a screen for you to select the grant you want to create a reimbursement request for. In this case, the 911 is the only grant that this town has open. And then if there are multiple projects, you'd have projects. So we're going to select the grant and project and click Submit. And in order to create and submit a reimbursement request, you need to have expense lines added. So this screen will bring you to allow you to do that. So you'll create new expense. And this is where you will enter the information about the expense. So the first field is the type. So from one of the types within the drop-down box, you'll select that. I'm going to select dispatcher training. And then you're going to select the total documented amount. So even if you have multiple invoices or lines, you're going to put the total here. So we're going to put $1,000, for example. And then you're going to see below that there are the project cost lines. So you're going to add a project cost for each one of those, and from that you're going to get the list of the cost lines that you have when you submitted your application. So it's not a real great example, but the only cost line that we had for this grant and this project was PC server network cost. So we're going to put that in there. So we might want to go up here and change this training to match. So let's say we bought hardware, and we bought $1,000 worth of hardware here. And then you're going to put the justification of the cost. Purchase PC and monitor. Then you'll notice that you need to add the supporting documentation, but you can't do that until you've actually saved this expense line. So you're going to go over here and click the Create button, which will actually create this expense line. And now you will be able to attach any documents. So to attach documents, you're going to go down here and click the Attach, and then you're going to get your pop-up window. You're going to choose your files. This works very much like any other Windows document. So you're going to go to wherever it is your documents are, and you're going to select the document. Normally that would be an invoice, packing slips, those type of things, cancel checks, and then you would click Upload, and that will upload your documents. It could be any document. Okay, so once you've done that, you want to click the Save button. And because of the $5,000 limit, you'll see we only have $1,000 entered here. And you might want to do this so that as you incur expenses, just go ahead and put the expenses on there. You don't have to actually submit your reimbursement request until you're ready. You can also do these like monthly or whatever works for your organization. Okay, so we're going to create another expense so that we get up to our $5,000. So to do that from the form that you're on, you can create a new expense. While we're here, let's go ahead and go over the other buttons here. You can unlink this expense, and if you do that, that will give you a pop-up. Make sure you want to unlink it, and what it's going to do is the expense line is still going to be there, but it's going to unlink it from this reimbursement request. So it'll just be an expense line not linked to any reimbursement request. So you could unlink that. You might want to do that if perhaps you're not ready to submit that expense line. You could unlink it and it would save all the information, but it just wouldn't be linked. Copy expense, if you have multiple projects that are buying very similar things, you could copy the expense line. When you do that, you'll notice it's basically creating a new expense. You can copy this if you have like 5 or 6 PCs that you bought and you want to put them on separate expense lines, you could do that. So we could just do the copy expense here, that's fine. And we're going to say we spent another $4,500 here. And then this needs to match the amount. And so we here are going to say that we purchased 2 laptops and a printer. Okay? So we're going to click Create for that again. And then we're going to need to attach our documentation. We would choose Files and click Open. Click the Upload button to upload it. Now you're going to see your file is there. Okay. And we're going to click Save. So now you'll see there's some additional functions at the top of this because we have 2 expense lines. So you can switch between the previous expense and the next expense here. You can also select it by going to the drop down box here in the center of your screen and go back to the first one. So now that we've got our expenses in there for what we want to do, we can click the Back to Reimbursement Request. And now you're going to see the 2 expense lines there. So while we're here, let's go ahead and go over the menu options on the left side here. The summary is just the summary of all this expense items for this reimbursement request. So you'll see our total is $5,500, and it's all federal money. The total eligible later 0, ineligible 0, and this is in the submission. So it's in a draft. The draft means we've not actually submitted it. You can always see all of your draft items that you have started on but not submitted yet by going to your inbox. If you go to your inbox here and you click down here in the menu bar for drafts, you'll see that we have the reimbursement request that we just created as a draft. So if you ever wonder what all have I created that I haven't submitted yet, you can always go to your inbox, go down to drafts, and then you'll see those. So we're going to open that back up. And then the next option in the menu bar over here is the expenses, which we've already seen. And if you want to go to any of these expenses directly, you can just click on them and it pulls the expense back up. I'm going to go back to the reimbursement request. And then notes. Notes are anything that you would have added from the bottom of the screen. So if we go to summary, and if you look on here, there's a notes and comments section, there's document templates, there's that you can add, and then you can upload or add documents. So you can enter notes at any time, and that's for both you or for the state to see if you have notes on this reimbursement request. Documents are going to be any documents that have been added to this reimbursement request. Those only pertain to the reimbursement request. The ones you uploaded to expenses, you actually go into expenses to see those. The workflow will tell you what the workflow is, how many steps, and what step. You can tell by the green bar. If I click to these different ones, you'll see the green bar stays the same up here at submission, which means we're in the submission step right now of the workflow. And then the history is going to tell you what all's happened. So the only thing that's happened right now with this one, it was created, today's date and time. Okay, so let's go back to the summary. Some other things up here at the top, you can delete this reimbursement request. You get started, you decide you don't need it, it's a duplicate, you can click delete. It's going to come back and ask you why you want to delete it. You're going to provide a reason and a note, and then you can click the delete. It will delete that. Expense options. These are additional features, functions that you can do. You can create a new expense. You can move this expense to a different reimbursement request, or you can copy the expenses. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and submit this reimbursement request. We've got it all ready. We've got $5,500. We've uploaded and attached invoices and things. So we click the submit button. We're going to leave a note if there's any notes, special notes you want to leave for the state to know about this, and then you can click submit. And now that has gone to initial review. So that is pretty much it on how you submit a reimbursement request for the 911 project. Thank you for watching the video series. For more information, continue to watch our other series on how to submit a quarterly report or how to submit an application. If you have any questions, please feel free to submit them to mb3@oem.ok.gov, or you can always call 405-521-2481. Thank you.